Hey guys, welcome back to W.D.Y.D. What do you do as a central sterile processing technician? Um, Today's episode, guys, I told you that coming soon I will be doing a step-by-step demonstration on how to process a tray word for word according to the IFU versus real world application. Um, Today on this episode is I actually wanted to just read through an IFU for you guys without um, showing you who this IFU is from, but we're gonna go ahead and read this IFU. This IFU is only 4 pages long, so let's get to it, guys. Let me go through it real quick. So I am going to skip right into so what's on an IFU? An IFU tells you the description of the item. It tells you any potential adverse effects, any contradictions, things of that nature. So this is actually a spine tray here. So I wanted to go ahead and start with the first thing, which is cleaning. So the HA coated implants are sterilized using gamma radiation sterilization initially. Do not re-sterilize. Okay, that's for that type of equipment. But for general, for all other blank system cases and caddies, all instruments must be thoroughly cleaned after each use. Cleaning may be done using validated hospital methods or following the validated cleaning process described below. Now, this gives you an option to follow the IFU or what the hospital has in place. That's important to note. We're going to talk through that in a second. Okay, they give you instructions for disassembly and assembly. I'm telling you that prior to cleaning, please see the operative manual for disassembling and assembling instructions for the 5 instruments that require disassembly. Okay, they tell you which instrumentation. So point of use, that's where the cleaning process starts. It starts right at the bedside, right in the OR suite, right at use. Okay, whenever possible, do not allow blood, debris, or body fluids to dry on instruments for best results and to prolong the use of the surgical instruments. Reprocess immediately after use. Okay, remove excess body fluids and tissues from instruments with a disposable non-shedding wipe. Okay, so that would be the lap sponges or the lap or any other items that you have in the OR for use. Okay, place instruments in a basin of purified water. Okay, not saline, purified water, or in a tray covered with damp towels. Do not allow saline, blood, body fluid, tissue, bone fragments, and other organic debris to dry on instrumentation prior to cleaning. For optimal results, instruments should be cleaned within 30 minutes of use or after removal from solution to minimize the potential for drying prior to cleaning. Okay, used instruments must be transported to the central supply enclosed and covered container to prevent unnecessary contaminated risk. Now, this IFU here doesn't talk about a pre-enzymatic spray, but I'm pretty sure that. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. See, speaking too quickly. There is a note. Soaking in proteolytic enzymatic detergents or other pre-clean solution facilitates cleaning, especially in instruments with complex features, hard to reach areas, cannulated tubular designs. These enzymatic detergents, as well as enzymatic foam sprays, break down protein matter and prevent blood and protein-based materials from drying on instrument. Manufacturers' instructions for preparation and use of these solutions should be explicitly followed. So it does state that you can use an enzymatic spray in during the pre-cleaning process. That's before it comes to decon. All right, so now you're preparing to clean. Okay, this comes to decon. All instruments with moving parts should be disassembled. Okay, soak the instruments for a minimum. Here's a big one. Soak the instruments for a minimum of 10 minutes in purified water prior to the manual or automatic cleaning process. So here's an interpretation. So this is happening before the manual cleaning process. So does this happen in decon, or is this accounting for the pre-cleaning step? Okay. This can be interpreted two different ways. The way I'm looking at it, and I would interpret it, because there's no way that we can do it. There is a way, but you won't see it. But they're telling you that the pre-cleaning solution, whether it's soaked in the basin, because remember, in the point of use, the pre-cleaning, the point of use says, it says, I just read it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to find this. I'm fumbling through it. Soaking in prolytic enzymatic, and it's also saying place instruments in a basin of purified water or in a tray covered with damp towels. Okay, so if you're putting it in a basin with purified water, okay, the preparation for cleaning steps that says soak instruments for a minimum of 10 minutes in purified water would apply. So if in a pre-cleaning stage that they're pre-treating the instruments, whether they're using enzymatic spray or soaking it in a basin or putting a moist towel on it, by the time it gets to decon and we process it, those 10 minutes should have passed, okay? Even though it's saying you should clean it 30 minutes after use and removal. But there's your 10-minute time there. That's how I am interpreting this. Okay, step 3 says use a soft cloth or a soft plastic bristle brush to remove any visible soil from the instruments prior to manual or automatic cleaning. Using a soft plastic bristle brush or a pipe cleaner to remove soil from them. You can also use a syringe if appropriate for hard to reach areas. So before you do any soaking or anything like that, they want you to remove gross soil, okay, visible soil. Okay, enzymatic detergent should be used for manual and automatic cleaning. All enzymatic detergents should be prepared and use dilution and temperatures recommended by the manufacturer. Okay, they talk about water quality in here as well. So they're telling you specifically that you should be using an enzymatic detergent to clean their instrumentation. That's also important because a lot of IFUs give you options as to what you can use, but this one specifically tells you that it needs to use an enzymatic solution. Okay, the manual step is an 8-step process. Okay, and I'm not going to try to do this really quickly, but doing the manual cleaning, okay, you're completely submerging instruments in enzymatic, and you need to let them soak for 20 minutes. Okay, then it says using a brush, okay, you're gently scrubbing the device until all visible soil has been removed, telling you to pay close attention to crevices and lumens. Okay, and lumens should be cleaned with a long, narrow, soft bristle brush, i.e. pipe cleaner brush. All right, 20 minutes, guys. Okay, and during that 20 minutes, you need to be brushing to get rid of all visible soils. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is you're removing the instruments from the enzymatic detergent and you're rinsing in tap water for a minimum of 3 minutes. Okay, 3-minute rinse. Okay, not a 3-minute soak. Some, again, very close particular. Pay close attention to the IFUs. Rinsing, okay, for 3 minutes. Okay, thoroughly and aggressively with lumens. Okay, then you're placing, then you're gonna prepare a sonic. Okay, and you're gonna sonicate it for 10 minutes. Then you have to take the instruments out of the sonic, okay, and rinse with purified water for 3 minutes until there's no sign of blood, soil, and to thoroughly rinse chemical off of the instruments. Okay, that's 3 minutes. That's step 4. Step 5 is you placing the set back into sonic and you're rinsing again. So you're sonicating once, rinsing, sonicating again for 10 more minutes, and rinsing again. Okay, you're removing excess moisture from the instruments with non-shedding wipes. Inspect for visible soil, and if it's visible, the final step, if visible soil is noted, you have to repeat step one all over again. That's manual cleaning. Let's go on to the controversy. That's in itself, you're not going to see a lot of places do that. Okay, that right there, those steps are going to be missed. Um, there's a lot of stuff in here that, you know, if you don't have this IFU in front of you, you're not going to do. But remember, this IFU gave you an option to follow a hospital policy or the IFU. So what can be substituted in the hospital instead of sonicating and rinsing again? 20 minutes of total sonication with rinsing afterwards will most likely be what will be adapted by a hospital rather than following the steps as so. Here is where I was raising an eyebrow. Okay, with the automated cleaning, it says step one, completely submerge instruments in enzymatic detergent and allow to soak and sonicate for 10 minutes each, and with a soft nylon brush to gently scrub the device until all visible soil has been removed. How do you brush while you're sonicating? Okay, I'm going to read it word for word. Completely submerge the instruments in an enzymatic detergent and allow to soak and sonicate for 10 minutes each. Use a soft bristle nylon brush to gently scrub the device until all visible soil has been removed. Particular attention must be given to crevices, lumens, matted surfaces, connectors, and other hard to clean areas. Lumens should be cleaned with a long, narrow, soft nylon brush. Use a syringe or water jet will improve flushing of difficult to reach areas and closely matted surfaces. Okay, you can't brush while you're sonicating. Okay, that's a controversy in itself. I would probably call the manufacturer to get some clarity on that and kind of talk through that process. This is automated cleaning. Remove instruments from the cleaning solution and rinse with purified water for a minimum of 1 minute now. Okay, so now you're only rinsing for 1 minute and you're aggressively flushing lumens. You're going to place instruments in the suitable washer disinfector basket and place instruments in a suitable washer disinfectant basket and process through a standard instrument washer disinfectant cleaning cycle. Okay, another note. Okay, this instrumentation, this set comes in its own container. It's telling you to remove the instruments and put it in another container, not to clean it using the container it came in. That's where a lot of places do not follow IFUs. Okay, we'll talk about that later when I demonstrate the step-by-step instructions. Okay, orientate instrumentation into an automatic washer carrier as recommended by the washer manufacturer. So now we're talking about the rack, put it in the right way, and then it gives you a minimum for parameters here, okay, on how to wash. Okay, inspect for visible soil. If soil is noted, repeat the above steps until no visible soil is noted. Okay, it tells you about, gives you a couple warnings about the cleaning devices and visual inspection, and discard any broken, discolored, corroded items. Okay, these are the step-by-step instructions to a spine instrument set. Now, if you note, these step-by-step instructions actually weren't too difficult. There were some confusing steps in there. Brushing while sonicating, that's impossible in our field. The actual removal of instruments from the original container to put it into an appropriate container, that's another one that I see a big miss in our field. But this one was pretty simple. Some of the IFUs that I can go and generate and bring up are so much more complex, and quite honestly, I don't think I've ever memorized any IFU word for word. So, and this is probably the first one that I've actually read that gives you the instructions to say cleaning may be done using validated hospital methods or following the validated cleaning process described below. So your hospital might have a general rule on how to clean. So you can adapt that with this tray. And I think that's what most facilities adapt when they're decontaminating trays, is they adapt a general cleaning process for all trays. Now, whether the IFUs allow that or not, that remains to be seen, because if it doesn't specifically state it as this one did, we're not in compliance. You know, you're not in compliance. So yeah, guys. Um, an example what an IFU reads like, step by step. Um, After the cleaning process, it goes on to tell you the sterilization parameters here, and they give you different suggestions. They tell you if you're using the actual case is what the exposure time is, and if you're using any other caddy or any other casing, it gives you another suggestion here. Most of the suggestions here are for wrapped items. So if you're wrapping it, this is what it tells you. But when you're doing wrapping, okay, you have a choice as to what kind of container system you want to actually use. Unless it tells you, okay, it's not like right here, it says here, when using rigid container systems, clean, inspect, and prepare a rigid sterilization container according to the manufacturer's IFU. Okay, select the appropriate rigid container size with either filter bottom or solid bottoms to properly enclose. Okay, and the following sterilization cycles have been validated, and they give you a cycle here. All right, so you can use a rigid container. If it doesn't give you a rigid container listing on there, it has to tell you that a rigid container cannot be used. It'll usually give you the cycles for wrapped items. If you decide that you want to use a rigid container or other sterilization and closing device, you have to refer to the IFU of that container, because the parameters may change for exposure and dry time. That's when that comes into play. So if a wrap tells you that you can sterilize it, let's say for 274 minutes with 30 minutes dry time, and the container's IFU says that the dry time has to be 60 minutes for the dry time, then you have to go to 60 minutes of dry time. But the exposures usually stay the same. All right, guys. That's all I have for you guys today. Tune in this weekend. Tune in soon to see the video that I am going to post about the IFU step-by-step actual demonstration, to show you guys what we should be following, or how it should be done versus how it is done. Okay, and then we'll discuss it. All right, guys. As always, stay true to yourselves. Keep it 100, and I see you next time, guys. Peace.